I watched you make coffee in a shirt I'd never seen, and something small inside me noticed what had changed between. You hummed a different melody than the ones you used to play, and I smiled at how love moves without asking if it may. I used to know your mornings like a map inside my hand. Now there are little countries I don't fully understand. New habits in your silence, new thoughts behind your eyes. Not distance, not disaster, just time making us alive. I could mourn the older versions, or I could meet us here. Love does not become less true because it grows less clear. We're not who we were, and that's okay. The seasons changed our names. The heart that chose you long ago doesn't have to love the same. We're not who we were, and that's okay. I'm learning not to fear the way love keeps becoming when we both keep staying here. You asked me what I'm thinking. I said we feel different now. You looked at me so gently, like you already knew somehow. Not offended, not defensive, just honest in the light. You said different doesn't mean wrong, and I think you might be right. Maybe love is not a photograph we keep from fading time. Maybe it is more like water, changing shape and still divine. Maybe we are not losing the first version that we knew. Maybe every change is asking, can I love the present you? We're not who we were, and that's okay. The old us had its place, but I don't need a memory to prove the love I face. We're not who we were, and that's okay. Let the morning rearrange. If love can keep its tenderness, then love can survive change. Before love was staying up just to hear another song, counting every little message like the nights were never long. It was walking in the rain with nowhere we had to be. It was saying every feeling like a new discovery. Now love is folded laundry and reminders on the fridge. It is driving through the traffic to meet halfway on a bridge. It is asking, did you eat yet? When the day has been too much. It is not always electric, but it still knows how to touch. I almost missed the beauty because it wore quite a face. Not every sacred thing arrives with thunder in the place. looks different now, but it hasn't disappeared. It traded some of its fire for the warmth that keeps us here. Love looks different now, less movie, more true, less proving every heartbeat, more choosing what we do. Before we chased the feeling like it had to stay intense, now we trust the softer rhythm of ordinary evidence. A clean cup by the bedside, your jacket on my chair. Life made out of details that keep saying I am there. Maybe passion is a doorway, maybe comfort is a room, maybe love begins in lightning, then becomes a steady moon. Maybe different is a lesser, maybe quiet isn't gone. Maybe what is changed in us is the reason we last long. Love looks different now, and I don't wanna look away from the beauty of a love that survives an average day. Love looks different now, and maybe that is how the heart stops chasing proof and learns to live inside the vow. You wanted a city apartment, I wanted slower skies. You were dreaming bigger windows, I was craving smaller nights. For a moment in the kitchen, it felt like we had split. Not because we didn't love, but because we both wanted to live. Old me would have panicked, called difference a goodbye, turned one honest disagreement into proof we shouldn't try. But you leaned on the counter and said, let's not run too fast. Maybe two dreams can be different without one becoming past. We stood there with our futures, both nervous, both awake, and learned that growth is not the same as choosing what to break. Growing didn't break us, it only made us speak about the things we wanted and the things we still must keep. Growing didn't break us, though it shook the room a little. We learned love can stretch without tearing down the middle. We drew circles on paper, two lives and where they meet. A city, maybe weekends, a garden, maybe sleep. It wasn't clean or perfect, no magic answer came, but the fear became less heavy once we finally gave it name. Maybe love is not agreement on every road ahead. Maybe love is making room for dreams we haven't said. Maybe growing side by side means sometimes standing far than building honest bridges between the places where we are. Growing didn't break us, and now I understand. You can hold a different future and still hold someone's hand. Growing didn't break us, it asked us to be true. And somehow speaking honestly brought me closer back to you. We used to call every evening until sleep blurred every word. Now some nights we send a photo of the moon above the curve. At first I thought we'd lost it, that long old way we stayed. But love was changing language, not quietly slipping away. We used to share our breakfast, now we leave small notes instead. A heart beside the coffee, a book beside the bed. The ritual looks different, but the meaning still comes through. Not every changed expression means the feeling isn't true. The form can fall apart without the promise going to. Sometimes love survives by finding a different thing to do. We learn new ways to stay when the old ones didn't fit. We didn't call it failure, we made room inside of it. We learned new ways to stay, new rhythms, softer signs. Love did not stop speaking, it just changed the way it rhymed. Now Sundays are for quiet, not always going out. Sometimes closeness looks like resting with no need to talk about. You water all the basil, I sweep the kitchen floor. And somehow in that silence we are staying even more. Maybe devotion changes clothes, maybe care takes different streets. Maybe what we thought was fading was a new way love could meet. Maybe staying is creative, not one promise made in stone, but 1,000 little bridges built from what the years have shown. We learn new ways to stay, and I'm proud of what we made. Not a copy of our beginning, but a love that can update. We learn new ways to stay, and now I finally see love can change its language and still be speaking clearly. Today the light came in gray, and neither of us moved. Your coffee went cold twice, mine sat untouched too. We didn't have a fight, we didn't have a spark, just two tired people being human in the dark. You answered me gently, but your voice was far away. I asked if you were angry, drained today, and I believed you slowly, though old fears scratched the door. Because not every quiet day means love is leaving anymore. Some days are not golden, some hearts need low light. Love is still love when it doesn't feel bright. Not every day feels bright, not every touch feels new, not every silence blooms into something we can use. Not every day feels bright, but it doesn't mean we failed. Even soft clouds belong to the weather love has held. We ordered food in silence, watched a show we barely saw. You rested on my shoulder without needing any awe. There was no grand romance, no sentence made of flame, just the quiet kind of staying that still deserves the name. Maybe ordinary sadness doesn't need to be repaired. Maybe sometimes loving well means simply being there. No rescuing the evening, no forcing it to shine, just letting tired hearts move through ordinary time. Not every day feels bright, but I don't feel the gray. Some love is strong enough to have an unremarkable day. Not every day feels bright, and still I know it's true. There is tenderness in staying when there's nothing bright to prove. We are not carried only by the feeling at the start, not just by easy mornings or the racing of the heart. There are days the road feels longer, days the words come out wrong, days we both need patience more than any pretty song. But choice is not a prison when the choosing is still free. It is not a chain between us, it is a hand we still can reach. I don't choose you out of panic, you don't choose me out of debt. We choose because the life we build is one we don't regret. Love is more than weather, more than what the feelings do. Some days the heart is quiet, and still the choice is true. But we still choose each other, not blindly, not afraid. Not because the story's easy, but because the roots have stayed. But we still choose each other through the ordinary days. Love is not less beautiful when it learns mature ways. We choose in small decisions, a message sent with care, a softened tone in conflict, a second chance to hear. We choose when it's inconvenient, when pride wants to be right. We choose by turning gently toward each other never spoken, like a spell against the rain. This is daily, this is living, this is choosing once again. And if one day love changes, we will meet that truth with grace. But today I choose the person standing in this present place. But we still choose each other, and that is not a small thing. It is stronger than the first spark, it is quieter than rain. But we still choose each other with open eyes, still true. Not because we have to stay, but because I still choose you. Your train left Sunday evening with rain caught in the glass. I waved until the platform became a blur of past. The apartment sounded larger when I walked back in alone, and every little object had your absence as its tone. Distance came in softly, not like endings used to do. It didn't slam the windows, it didn't steal the truth. You called me from the station, tired, hungry, half asleep. And somehow through the static I still felt you next to me. I used to think far away meant love had turned thin, but closeness is not measured only by the room you're in. Distance didn't mean goodbye, it only changed the room. It put more sky between us, but it didn't bury you. Distance didn't mean goodbye, and I am learning slowly. Love can cross a quiet city and still come home to hold me. We learned the art of updates, the photo of your street, the voice note from my kitchen, the song you sent to me. Not perfect, not the same thing as your hand inside my hand, but enough to keep us human across unfamiliar land. Maybe missing is not danger, maybe longing is not loss. Maybe love can stretch with distance without counting every cost. Maybe space can teach devotion, a gentler kind of trust, where no one has to panic just because there's miles from us. Distance didn't mean goodbye, and when you came back through, the door looked like a sunrise that had remembered you. Distance didn't mean goodbye, it changed the way we knew that love can live in absence and still return as true. I found an old photo from the year we first began. Your hair was falling differently, mine barely knew its plan. We looked so certain standing there in borrowed coats and light like love would keep the same face if we held it tight enough at night. But time has been a quiet hand, not cruel, not always kind. It changed the way we argue, changed the shape of what we find. You learned to ask for stillness, I learned not to disappear. We became less like a lightning strike and more like staying here. I thought change would take us like water takes the shore, but it only carved us deeper than we knew ourselves before. Time changed us gently, not all at once, not loud, like sunlight moving slowly through an afternoon of cloud. Time changed us gently, and somehow we remained, not frozen in the old love, but not strangers to the change. There are things we lost and things we never saw. There are versions of ourselves we had to leave to grow at all. But I don't mourn them bitterly, I thank them and let go. They brought us to this softer place that younger hearts can't know. Maybe time is not the thief we always make it seem. Maybe it is also mercy, waking us from smaller dreams. Maybe love that lasts must change, or else it cannot breathe. Maybe what time takes away makes room for what we need. Time changed us gently, and I can love that too. The older us, the present us, the ones we're turning into. Time changed us gently and left enough behind for love to keep becoming without fearing its own time. There was a month we nearly moved like separate weather, both of us exhausted under the same umbrella. You had too many deadlines, I had too much in my head, and dinner became a place where all our missing words sat dead. We could have called it fading, could have called it proof, could have turned the tired season into some dramatic truth. But instead we changed the pattern, moved the calls, cleared Friday night, made a rule to ask for closeness before loneliness could bite. Leaving wasn't the answer to a life that needed space. Sometimes love survives by changing the shape of how it stays. We adjusted instead of leaving, we bent without letting go. We changed the way we carried what had started feeling slow. We adjusted instead of leaving, and I'm proud we didn't run. Not every heavy season means the love is done. Now we check the calendar, like care is part of time. We don't assume the other can read between each line. We make room for exhaustion without making it a wall. We learn that asking early can save a heart from fall. Adaptation is not failure, it is proof that something lives. A love that never changes may have nothing left to give. So we revise the rhythm, we rewrite where we bend. We keep finding new beginnings before we reach the end. We adjusted instead of leaving, and the room feels lighter now. Not because it's always easy, but because we learned how. We adjusted instead of leaving, and maybe this is love. Not the absence of hard seasons, but the will to rise above. I used to think the first shape was the truest shape of love. Like everything that changed it meant we had lost enough. But now I see the ending was not hiding in the shift. Sometimes love keeps living by becoming something different. The spark became a lantern, the rush became a road. The mystery became knowing where the tender places go. The hunger became kindness, the fear became a door. We learned to walk through slowly and not be scared of more. Nothing stayed the same, but something stayed alive. Love did not remain young, it learned how to survive. Love grew instead of ending, it changed but didn't leave. It became a deeper breathing than the first time made me believe. Love grew instead of ending, and I can see it now. Some stories do not fade away, they simply change the how. We are not the same two people who once stayed up until dawn, trying to name the feeling before the feeling could be gone. But I don't need those younger hours to prove what we became. The love that sits beside me now still carries the same flame. Let it change its rhythm, let it find new air. Let it lose the costume of the love that started there. If the roots are still alive, if the care still tells the truth, then growing is not losing, it is love becoming proof. Love grew instead of ending, and that is why we're here, not holding old beginnings like the only thing sincere. Love grew instead of ending, and I am not afraid of the future changing shape. If the love is still hands.